All right, my friends, welcome back. Well, this past Friday night, we had a very nice, interesting topic, actually multiple topics on Friday night's private chat. One of them was about Ubuntu's Thinkpads. Should you buy a ThinkPad powered by Ubuntu? So what I did, it was a rather long discussion, so I condensed it audio only into about 14, 15 minutes, playing it through VLC. So let's take a listen on our opinions on Ubuntu's ThinkPads. I'll give you my final opinion at the end. And make sure you play this to the end because I threw in a little joke of snap packages versus flat packs. Just a joke. I thought it was funny. Anyway, I will now mute my mic and let's take a listen to Should You Buy an Ubuntu ThinkPad? Ubuntu's ThinkPads. I guess Lenovo made an announcement. Somebody mentioned it last month. There's not quite 30 versions that you can buy a ThinkPad with Ubuntu Linux. I think it's fantastic. Now they do start from what I started about $1,000, so you're probably not going to see that in a Walmart. Again, those are not for the masses, for the Windows masses, that is. But that's good because now you have more choices. ThinkPads are rock solid. I have two ThinkPads. One had Windows XP, believe it or not. It still runs. I have Ubuntu Mate on. I'm sorry, I have Linux Mint on there. Mate. My other ThinkPad that had Windows 7, that one I dual boot. I went to Windows 10. A little slow, but it works. The point I'm getting at, ThinkPads are like the Lexus of ThinkPads for Windows, in my opinion. So, Ubuntu's ThinkPads. Joe, what do you think?
Oh, I love the idea that they're doing that. And it's actually, they're doing it on some of their ThinkStations too. So if you want desktops with it, as a matter of fact, I was just glancing at some of them to see it's various versions of them, which is more the work. It looks like it's geared more toward the workstation aspect of it. So I think it's phenomenal. And that's what I was referencing before earlier, that now you have almost 30 machines being offered in the marketplace. And there may be, I thought, I could have sworn, I'll have to do a little checking while we're on or maybe after, but I thought there were a couple of their ThinkPad models that were down in the mid upper $500-$600 range starting, but I'll have to look and see to be sure. Yeah. But even at that, if they can see some marketplace happening with that, that's a good thing for Linux itself. Yeah, it's a proprietary system, whatever, but I think Lenovo's are nice, solid machines.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what my wife's on now.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No, I think it's great.
This news was easily the highlight of the year for me. And when I saw it, I literally almost jumped out of my chair because back in April, I think it was Fedora who announced that they were going to release a range of ThinkPads and ThinkStation workstation type machines with Fedora preloaded on it, and I thought that was pretty good news. But when I saw this news, I was absolutely gobsmacked and excited. And you're right, Joe. There are a couple of ThinkPads. I'm looking at the list now. The L series should be one of the cheaper ones, but ThinkPads in general are aimed at business users. So corporations who buy machines for their employees. But it's not just the really powerful P series or ThinkStation type workstations. You've also got the really mainline T series, which I know a lot of workplaces supply to their employees. They're not that expensive. I was looking at them myself, and I think for US they're around $800 or so as a starting point.
Okay.
Maybe $900, maybe $1,000. And not just Intel, they're also going to be releasing the AMD versions too. Now, the AMD processors in the mobile range are now super, super powerful. They will beat Intel hands down, model for model, and usually at a cheaper price too. So this news, I was looking at Twitter, and when this announcement came through, I was looking at Alan Popey's Twitter. And he said something really funny. He says, "Oh, do you know how hard it was to sit on this news for so long? Because they must have been working on it for some time."
They probably knew about it.
And the point that was made earlier about someone like Canonical being one of the only sort of small number of Linux corporations and groups that can actually do this. let's be clear about this. To actually get Linux certification and to test the hardware actually costs time and money.
Yes.
There are actually
Yes.
people who are actually testing these things and making sure that they work. And I know they've spoken about it on the Ubuntu podcast. They have some sort of secret lab in Taiwan where these machines get tested by their people, and to have whatever it's close to 30 models that are now going to be preloaded with Linux, preloaded with not just any Linux, Ubuntu, which is arguably a user-friendly distro that anybody could pick up and just use, not just your developers and sort of computer scientists. Anybody could pick up and use. I think this was one of the biggest news stories of the year, and believe me, it's been like a pretty big year for news stories, right? So,
Look, everybody
It is
likes
great.
to pick on Ubuntu. Well, you know what? You guys are all jealous. I'm just kidding.
I got another angle.
Okay.
Okay. The price that you see is the you buy it and take it out the door price. Okay. Now, like what my company did, that every 2 or 3 years they would have Dell come in and lowball that price so low that my company could buy 175 machines and outfit all the buildings with them. And they got them at a much, much lower price than the price that you'd see in Best Buy or something like
Volume
that.
buying,
Retail for it.
like if a store buys 1,000,000 cases of Coke versus a small store that buys 10, you're going to
Yeah.
get a better price, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Here's
Yep.
here's the thing. I'd like to add to that thought real quick too. And if you think about this from a college student standpoint, and I'm looking back at even when my kids were in college in the early 2000s to mid 2000s, when they walked in, aside from the one that went into Mac right away, you're going to spend on average nowadays probably $800 or more for even a college laptop. I know we keep talking about this $400 range, but that's for the person that just wants to go in, and you're talking about the person that just pulls something off the shelf to have simple browser searching or whatever. But the truth of the matter is, I think even if they were in the $600 to $800, $900 range, that's still not an out of line price, because the majority of the people that are going to be using that are going to either be somebody like my wife for her business. I got that with some deep discounts. It was $900 something. I paid just barely under $7 by the time I was done with it for that
Yeah.
Lenovo. But the other thing is when you think about the colleges, especially if you start picking up and incorporating into
Yeah.
this, now you're going to start seeing more,
Right.
I would think, more Linux classes coming out too,
Yes.
because they're going to need to have people to instruct them on how to work the
Yes.
applications, the operating
Right.
system, the applications, because there's still going to be somewhat of a learning curve to some extent. Because I'll never forget when Unity came out, there was a video circulating. It might still be out on YouTube somewhere. There was a college student that thought she was buying a Windows computer, wound up buying a Linux computer with Unity on it, and just totally was flipping out and trashed the system, whatever, trying to put Windows applications on it.
Yeah.
But back then, you could really do more harm. Now it'll just tell you, it'll warn you, and you won't do that necessarily the same harm unless you push hard. So that's my thought on it. Is I think all of this is going to be maybe a chain effect. Yeah, it would be nice to see that $400 laptop out there, but the truth of the matter is, maybe that is the market for the Chromebooks, the $200 to $400 range, and anything that starts to go above that is going to be the more. I don't even say more advanced users, but somebody that has a purpose, somebody that's going to be doing more with it than just browsing and writing a few emails and whatever. You know what I mean?
I think you need to be careful. Don't go into the Apple MacBook price range, because then the person will just go with the Apple, because that's been proven over the years. The $600 to $800 price point, Joe, that's probably doable. But once you go 1,000 or more, they're just going to buy Apple. That's just that's how I see it. So
Well, it all depends, though. It all depends, because it still comes down to the user, the fact that do they want to have their arm twisted when they want to do, they can't upgrade it, or they can't do, because everything is so proprietary. So that'll be interesting to say. I wouldn't make the assumption that that's automatically what somebody will do. If you start getting past the $2,000 range, maybe, but then again, you're going to be more into the Linux enthusiast aspect, I think, at that point.
Yeah,
by that.
well, yeah. Someone who knows.
Or somebody has specific,
Right.
commercial aspects for it.
Specific needs, like you're a singer or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, let's come up with how many different categories of laptops that you can actually get. You can get your business loan, let's say. Okay, there's business.
Gaming.
Not completely. You're not going to play everything on it. That's kind of 50-50
Right.
because I game on Linux too and I fight with it all the time.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it does work once you iron it out.
Right.
On titles that are not AAA.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you have the college
Yes.
laptop. Now I have one of those, and I can tell you what you get for a college laptop. You get a laptop. I bought it about 7 years ago. It's an HP. It's an NV6, and it comes with Beats audio, the prettiest chrome finish brushed aluminum you ever did see.
8-track player. No.
But then when you get down to the nuts and bolts, it's got only 8 gigs of RAM in it, and the Wi-Fi card they put in it, it took me a long time to figure this out, is trash. So,
Dan, I'm going to beg to differ. I'm sorry, I keep jumping in here, but you said AAA games, and I'm going to disagree with you with that because there are more AAA games coming to Linux on Steam now. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. There's a sale going on right now for the Battlefield games, for Battlefield 4 and 5. And those 4 is rated, I believe, at either gold or platinum. And I actually decided to buy, of all things, Battlefield 2 because I missed playing it, even though I've got it laying around here in the disc. But my 360, I got rid of the one that should run it on, so it won't play on the 360, the Xbox One. And aside from maybe the occasional when it's changing a scene, I might get a just quick stutter, but that could be a settings thing that I have to do.
the most
It runs flawless.
It's probably the anti-cheat games that I was really thinking of.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and I think that's rapidly changing too, even on Steam, because I'm seeing more and more and more Windows games being added almost every day. It's unbelievable.
Nice.
They run well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, in July I stocked up on games because they had one heck of a sale. You got Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. That's like a super popular game.
I've heard of it. Yeah. Yeah.
With the
Well,
advent of
I got
AAA
like
levels.
Proton and Lutris,
I got Fallout 4.
it makes it a lot easier to game.
I got
on.
Witcher 3, and I didn't pay more than $15 for each of
Witcher
them.
3 is a good game though. Yeah.
Elder Scrolls is a game you make it what you want it to be. It's got a command line that you pop up with the tilde key.
Yeah.
And you can just jump around in it from the keyboard.
I want to do Elder Scrolls. I never got into it, but that looks like a really, really
It is, and not only that,
interesting
there's so much
game.
content in that game. I bought it in July, started playing it because it was a 40 gig download. And it was one of the first ones I
40.
got from the state. Yes.
Okay. That's like a Halo
So-
game almost.
Yeah. The content in it is unbelievable. I got over 500 hours of playtime on it, and I haven't even got to the end of it. It has no
At the
end.
time, why not? You know,
Wait, is that because you're not very good, Dan, or what?
This is the time that actually Steam is logging that I'm using the game. Now, there are times where I've got super stuck. I'm sitting there for 2 hours. I can't figure out where a lever or something is to open a door. And I got my laptop sitting right here with a how to do that.
So Linux is
There-
getting
there's
better
so
with
many-
gaming, evidently, from what I've
There are
read.
so many videos
that's
on
the
that
general
game.
consensus, Toss. It's especially with things like Lutris and Proton, you can run so much more.
Yeah.
The one thing I've come into problem with is like launchers, like the Epic launcher or Ubisoft or what have you. Sometimes you just cannot run it if it
Okay.
requires the launcher
Okay.
because it's just so proprietary.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Just to get back onto the
yeah.
Ubuntu laptops, there are actually a range of the ThinkPads, the P series, that actually include dedicated graphics. So you would most definitely should be able to game on those.
That will definitely help. Absolutely. No, it's it's
A freshman college dude is going to want a gaming laptop to go along with his college
Yeah.
studies.
my son's gaming is not a gaming, but it's a Dell. It's $1,000. He does homework and some gaming on it. I understand how it works. Speaking of gaming, I was watching a video today from the makers of the Halo game. They showed a recording of Explosive doing the sound effects for the game. They were out. out in the field. I'm like, what a job that is. Your job is to blow things up and have like 50 million mics in different positions to record all this, right? Right, Vince? So my thought was, I had a joke. It's great watching flat packs being blown up by snap explosives. I thought, just kidding. I'm a fan of snap, so that was my joke for today, guys. All right, just a little joke at the end. I have nothing against different packages or whatever. It was just a joke about snap packages. Anyway, if you like ThinkPads, I do, and if you use ThinkPads and you like Ubuntu, I use Ubuntu. If you like Ubuntu and you like ThinkPads, then yeah, I would say you should consider picking up an Ubuntu ThinkPad. Full disclosure, this is not a sponsored video by ThinkPad or Ubuntu. I wouldn't mind being sponsored by them, but not a sponsored video, strictly a personal opinion based on personal experience. That's it. Let me know what you guys think below in the comments. If you would like to join us for a private chat, usually we record them Friday nights, sometimes Saturday nights around 10 p.m. Eastern. Join in. They are a lot of fun, to say the least. Thanks to my returning champions for joining us. You know who you are. Thanks to all the supporters of the channel. This is Total OS Today, signing off. Arrivederci.